Good morning and welcome back to the John Treader Show. Common sense for the Commonwealth. We're broadcasting from the nation's capital and blasting our way through Virginia from Baltimore, Maryland, to Washington, D.C., where we're on WTNT AM 730 and 102.9 FM The Truth. In Richmond on WLEE News Talk AM 990. Hampton Roads K-Talk, WHKT AM 1650, where Kenny Johnson reigns. And in Lynchburg, Roanoke, and Charlottesville on WBRG Super Talk AM 1050 and simulcasting on 104.5 FM. We want to welcome again our new listeners and our brand new syndication affiliate, WBRG Super Talk AM 1050 and 104.5 FM. This is the Straight Talk Express, bringing you uncompromising coverage of Virginia. We are the honest brokers of the truth. The last night, big debate in Virginia Beach, I guess a forum they're calling it, hosted by the Hampton Roads Tea Party, and where the 7 candidates for lieutenant governor as Republicans got together. That nomination is going to be decided in a statewide caucus, a convention on May 18th in Richmond. In order to participate in that, you have to be a delegate. In order to be a delegate, you have to go through your municipal or county party and sign up, say you want to be a delegate and attend their mass meeting. So wherever you are, just Google your city or your county Republican Party and try to find out how you go through that process. Now, one of the participants in the debate last night, one of the top-tier candidates now for the Republican nomination for lieutenant governor, entrepreneur and businessman Pete Snyder. Pete, great to have you with us.
Johnny Fredericks, terrific to be on the Straight Talk Express. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Now, we had a number of people there last evening. I was getting texts well after I went to bed that I got when I got up today, and a couple of them saying you were the clear winner. Do you feel that way today?
You know, I was happy with the evening. I think it was a great night for all of us. You know, John, I'll take whatever I can get. If people say I did well, that's fantastic. I was just happy, and first and foremost, want to give a shout out to the Hampton Roads Tea Party with Keith Freeman and also Waverly Woods for putting on a terrific evening last night. And we got to dive into the real issues that matter. We got to talk about the budget. We got to talk about numbers. We got to talk about, you know, Washington and Richmond being out of touch and budgets simply getting away from us. You know, and time after time when you talk to politicians or you listen to the media, it's always that we have a revenue problem. You need to hike taxes. You need to do these fees because we have a revenue problem and government just needs more money. And John, you and I and Steve know that's not the case. Your listeners know that's not the case. We have a massive spending problem around the country and in Virginia. And the career politicians just haven't been getting it done. I mean, if you look at the past 20 years in Virginia, our population has only grown by 30%. Yet our state budgets have grown by 270. 270 versus 30. It is out of whack, and it needs to be changed.
All right, Pete, I want to go to transportation. Now, as you know, I was a big supporter of Governor Bob McDonnell's, what I thought was a very bold, very compelling transportation plan. It did involve a brand new tax. The transportation crisis in this state shows no end. Pete, this has been going on for 3 decades. I thought McDonnell tried to solve it. It's billions and billions of dollars. I think you're in Virginia Beach today or somewhere in Hampton Roads, right?
I am indeed.
Good luck trying to get out of there today, and good luck trying to go to Northern Virginia. There was just a study by Texas A&M that came out earlier in the week on gridlock in the United States. It's billions and billions and billions of dollars of time and energy. And at the end of the day, Pete, if we don't fix this transportation problem in this state, you know, you're talking about creating jobs. There's going to be no jobs because no matter what you say or do, no new company is going to come in to Virginia if you can't get from point A to point B. Now, you have a transportation plan that I want you to share with us, because the one that Bob McDonnell has forwarded, that is dead in the water. So now we're looking at coming out of this session again with no plan. If you're lieutenant governor, how specifically, Pete, are you going to solve our ongoing transportation crisis?
Well, John, I can't run around talking about our campaign, the Snyder campaign, about big ideas if I duck the big problems. And we have a very clear plan for transportation. It's very different from the rest of the crowds. First and foremost, I do want to give some credit to our governor, who I think has done a great job in office, and give him credit for tackling the big issues and also being creative in it. That said, as a job creator and an entrepreneur in this economy, I just simply do not believe it's the time for higher taxes for Virginians. That's not political. That's economic. And here's what I think we need to do. First and foremost, we need to change the business model of the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's not working. We have 22 plus various state-imposed taxes and over 50 to 75 fees. And John, you're a fiscal hawk. You know a fee is really another word for a tax. It's what politicians like to raise to get more revenues and claim that they didn't raise taxes.
Right.
They're taxes. Most of these laws go back not only to the 1800s, but to 1943. We need to streamline them. We need to reduce them. We need to make them more fair, more clear, and have a complete conservative tax overhaul, tax reform in Virginia. This is something that I know Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli wants to tackle in a major way. So I think we need to have sweeping tax reform in Virginia, change the business model, and as we do that, we need to fix the spending problem. I want to set a target goal of 10% reduction in the size and scope of state government. Now, John, you've had people blanch at that, and, oh my gosh, we can't possibly do that. And Republicans saying that we can't shrink the size of government. That's just plain wrong. If you weigh 400 pounds, I know Chris Christie's in a fight with his doctor, but if you weigh 400 pounds and you go to the doctor's going to say, you got to lose 100 pounds or you're going to die. If they say lose 40 pounds, that's fairly modest. That's what we need state government to do. Go on a spending diet. Let's set a target of 10%. We have wild, wasteful spending. I mean, our own governor, Bob McDonnell, audited VDOT and found $1.4 billion under the couch cushions. I've balanced 20 budgets in my life over the years as an executive. I've never found a budget where I couldn't find 10% savings.
Pete, let me ask you this. Pete, let me ask you this straight out. Are you willing right now on our show to say unequivocally that if you are elected lieutenant governor of the state of Virginia, that you will unequivocally call for a transportation reform policy that takes 10% across the board cuts in government and then puts that specifically for transportation? Are you willing to commit to that now?
John, I'm willing to commit to a transportation reform plan. I'm willing to commit to a goal of 10%, but I am not going to commit and fall into the trap of saying across the board so that after I win the convention in November, some liberal Democrat can say that, oh, Snyder wants to cut cops and this and that and the other. Absolutely not. We can find a way to get to a 10% goal in the reduction of government. I think that needs to go to transportation. I think it also needs to go to education. We need to reprioritize what government is doing for us. Right now, government's trying to be everything to everyone. Just watch the Obama administration. You can find that. In Virginia, we need to reprioritize. We need to change our tax code, have tax reform, and have 10% savings in the size and scope of government. 270% increase over the past 20 years with a 30% increase in population growth is insane. It's government run amok, and we need to change it.
Common Sense News Time coming up on 7:22 now on the John Frederick Show. Editorial Director Steve Ray, along with our guest, who is a candidate for lieutenant governor on the GOP side of things, businessman and entrepreneur Pete Snyder. And Pete, I'm going to get a little rough with you. You know, we're not afraid to do that here.
Rough me up, buddy.
You are big and bold with your ideas. I want you to be brave here. I know you've probably identified them already, as many people have at the federal level, like getting rid of the EPA, getting rid of the Department of Education. Give me two examples of areas where you think we are redundant in the Commonwealth and could go right for these targets as immediate cuts.
There's nothing brave about this. This is easy. You know, I'm a technologist, as you know, Steve, and I think we get very little value out of the Secretary of Technology position. Okay, if you look, and that may surprise folks, but look, you could easily have that job done. I mean, we could easily have IT contracts made. You know, in fact, during the Kane administration, we had a $1 billion boondoggle of a technology contract, 10 years, billions of dollars, and it didn't work. I mean, you know, most of your listeners don't want to get in bed with a 2-year iPhone contract, let alone a 10-year contract for technology that changes every other year. It's crazy. So I think we can have that collapse with the Department of Commerce. Additionally, you know, do you realize that we have a milk commission in Virginia, a milk commission, whose sole goal is to make sure we have accessible and affordable milk in the Commonwealth. You know what? I think Safeway and Food Lion do a pretty good job of that. We don't need it. We have a Caves Board. We have government programs for job training in the administration, over 22 of them. How about one? How about two? There are some very easy ways that we can streamline government. We can cut costs. We can make it much more effective and efficient. And with my business background, I would love to get under the hood as a conservative reformer in changing government.
All right. So we've addressed the Department of Redundancy Department. Let's talk about the General Assembly in these short sessions where, because of the split specifically in the state Senate and the lieutenant governor being the tiebreaker, if you end up being elected to that position, is there a series of ideas that you have for how to stop the governmental, let's say the legislative game of chicken in the state Senate so that you can get more of the people's business done in these short sessions?
Sure, easily. Elect strong, principled conservatives to office, Steve. I mean, you know, look, it's about leadership and about setting priorities. And right now, you know, our lieutenant governor, who I used to think I knew well, you never know which side he's going to be on.
All right, to that point, I hate to interrupt, Pete. I hate to interrupt you. I want to ask something specific here.
Sure.
In lieu of the state being split and giving you a 20-20 split in the state Senate, how would you propose working across the aisle to get that business done?
Steve, in business, you can't get business done without reaching out across the table, across the boardroom. I've spent an entire career in making things happen. We created an industry that simply didn't exist. You don't do that by doing it alone. You do it by reaching out and bringing other people across the table and getting results done. That's how I would operate in Richmond. You know, as you know, when it comes to folks like Dick Saslow, I'm not afraid of calling people out when they say ridiculous things like they're going to put politics in front of real progress. And
who? I've never heard of him. Who?
But at the same time, at the end of the day, you can go have a drink and you can try to figure out how to get things done. You know, I think we do need to change the culture of Washington and of Richmond, and that's what that's why I think you need a principled conservative, but also an outsider who's actually going to bring new skill sets and new ideas to the table. And Steve, that's not rhetoric. That's a real record of over 20 years of getting things done.
Common Sense News Time, 727. This is the John Frederick Show. We're with Pete Snyder. an entrepreneur and businessman. He is one of the 7 candidates vying for the Republican nomination for lieutenant governor in Virginia. That'll be decided at a convention, a caucus on May 18th. Pete, just the other day, I guess it was yesterday, the General Assembly floats an idea for Virginia to create their own currency. Now, for the average guy out there in the street, it's a head-scratcher. What do you make of that?
I think the General Assembly has bigger fish to fry than trying to solve our nation's monetary policy. Hey, look, I'd love to have more transparency in our monetary policy, some sunshine on the Fed. I don't like the fact that we have a bunch of unelected folks that are dictating our economy, and they're doing it in the black box. I would love to have sound money, but, on the list of priorities, I think Virginia getting into the monetary policy business, that's really not where we need to be right now.
Pete, the General Assembly just passed a 2-year moratorium.
Although I would love my face, or actually your face, John Frederick, on the Virginia coin.
What?
I don't think they're big enough. I don't think they're big enough.
The Snyder silver dollar doesn't work for you?
No, I want the Frederick silver dollar. That's what we need.
It would be easy to put me on there because you wouldn't have to deal with the hair. Pete, just the other day, the General Assembly, I got one more quick question here, voted in favor of a 2-year moratorium on law enforcement in the state utilizing drones. At an earlier time, Governor McDonnell said, yeah, drones might not be a bad idea. How do you stand on this?
John, I love drones. I love drones when they're killing terrorists in foreign countries, okay? Not flying around America, spying on our people, and decimating our Fourth Amendment. I don't think I supported the measure. Let's keep the drones, hunting down the Taliban, hunting down terrorists, but not breezing over our skyways and byways and flying on our account.
All right, Pete, we're out of time. One parting shot here. Let them hear your website.
It's PeteSnyder.com. Please check us out, or on Facebook, Pete Snyder VA. Would love to have you if you like what you heard today, be a delegate for us on May 18th. If you're in the Richmond area or also in Northern Virginia, filing deadlines are coming up really quickly. So you got to be a part of this. It's democracy in action. Hit the delegate button on our website. Join our team, and let's shake things up in Richmond and get our state back on a strong fiscal path.